Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of the Bison Video Blog. Along with Jeff Kolpack, I'm Izzo, off a second Bison loss in 1 year. That has not happened, Jeff, since 2010. It's the last time we can talk about that after NDSU's 24-21 loss to South Dakota on Saturday. A lot of questions. I know we fielded quite a few on the blog. There's still going to be a lot more until the next game on Saturday at Indiana State. Had a couple more days to digest this after watching the game. I guess now 36, 48 hours removed. What did you take away from Saturday? What's glaring to you?
Well, I don't think they're running the ball that well. I just look at this team, and when it's cooking, it's getting 4 or 5 yards a carry. You're not seeing the explosive plays either on offense. You know, I'm just not seeing this. At least last Saturday,
yeah,
I wasn't seeing a running back in space. I'm not seeing guys in space. I mean, you know, right there's Carson fakes it to Dimitri Williams and then just runs into a wall. You know, here's another case where it's just, he gets 2 yards in and people are on him. I'm just not seeing, the run. And we asked Chris Kleiman today, I go, how's the offensive line playing? He thought the offensive line played okay. Well, then, is it the running backs? What was it?
Well, that's the question mark, because you and I did our position-by-position preview over the summer, and we said offensive line may be the strongest unit on this team, and it's been a roller coaster, maybe like this whole team. It's kind of indicative of how the whole team has played so far this season, where they were really good at some points and just average or not very good so far this season. That's been a real head-scratcher to me.
Yeah, and leading the country in time of possession tells me the offensive line has been pretty good.
Yeah.
But then, again, I think inconsistency has been the problem with this team, and perhaps, the head coach did hint at that early in the season. He said, well, I think 2 losses can win the league. I think he's prepared for this moment. I do. I just think at some point, you could call it a market correction or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
At some point, you're just not going to go 15-1 every year.
You look at it, though, and I think you hit the nail on the head. There is no John Cry, and I think fans know that. But we expected at least one of these guys to step up, and now it appears it's true freshman Bruce Anderson who's going to get a majority of the carries Saturday at Indiana State.
Heard his name a lot today at the press conference, that Bruce Anderson maybe get, 13, 15, maybe more touches a game, and we'll see on Saturday, but I think he's the guy. I think they're looking for one guy to maybe just take a little bit of control.
Does that surprise you? They're going to turn to a true freshman that... Obviously, Lance Dunn's been hurt, and they're hopeful he can play on Saturday. Chase Morlock's still not 100%, and King Frazier has been okay, but we saw it in those highlights, just not been able to break one and go.
I think you got to try things, and that was an underlying theme, too, I think we heard today. Is I don't think I think more players are going to get a chance this week at the least.
Who does that mean then? Who are we going to see in?
Well, look at left guard. It's listed as Zach Johnson or Jack Plankers. I mean, that tells me that Zach Johnson's job may not be, all that secure, and that maybe Jack may get more reps. I look at the linebackers. Are they doing the job?
Yeah.
Is Dan Marlette or Jordan going to get more chances? Are the safeties? Is there other options there? I think there's only a few spots right now after yesterday where you can honestly say, okay, C.J. Smith, you're good at corner.
You're not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, Champion, you're good at corner.
You're not going anywhere. Dave Tangway's not going anywhere.
Joe Haig, you're not going
anywhere.
But I think in
Everything
this program, why not?
It's a really interesting position because, and now Chris Kleiman also pointed this out.
They're not 2-4, but still, you got to ask the questions.
Because they didn't turn the football over on Saturday against South Dakota. South Dakota beat them, and USD had not won a conference game since 2013. That's why I think there's so many red flags or alarms or flags going to say, what happened here? And going forward, knowing there's still 5 games to go, and potentially, Jeff, the automatic qualifier, it might be out of the table right now. Knowing with Western Illinois and Indiana State, the Bison don't play Illinois State, and knowing full well that Western plays this weekend against the Redbirds, that who knows that they may have to go and get an at-large bid to get into the tournament.
Illinois State is unbeaten in the conference, and I don't think they're going to lose 2 games this year. I think the Redbirds have too much going for it. They're tough at home. They have the best home winning streak now
going
in the Valley, absolutely. And I think with Trey Roberson and with Marshawn Copperidge, that's a backfield punch that's going to be tough to beat. They got by Northern Iowa.
Yes.
Who do they have tough left? They have They got by Youngstown.
Yes.
So they have South Dakota State left.
South Dakota State's the only one out there on the schedule.
I think NDSU, if you're looking long term, I don't think you should be right now.
No, they got to worry about Indiana State.
But if you're looking at long term, I think you're looking at large berth.
Let's talk about Indiana State. Here come the Sycamores at 4-2, off a win at home last week against Southern Illinois. They lost in Brookings and won their conference opener against Missouri State. Mike Sanford went from a team that was in total disarray in 2013. I thought he was the coach of the year in the Valley last year to get his team into the playoffs.
I did this story 2 weeks ago, Dom, and as we look at Memorial Stadium in the background with the soccer moms, with the soccer moms on lawn chairs there, I did this facility story and how important it is for recruiting and how important it is to be a good program. Well, these guys are bucking the trend, shall we say. They are. Their facility is worthless.
And that guy, though, right there is not. Gary Owens, who's their top wide receiver, and they've turned to a sophomore and quarterback in Matt Adam, and he's done a really nice job for Indiana State.
Yeah, he had some recruiting notoriety coming out of high school. And going back to facility question, I asked Mike Sanford, that coach, I go, are you able to get a nationally ranked team recruiting to what you have to recruit to? And he said, well, you just focus on the players. Yeah. You focus on the people. And that's about the only attitude you can take, and it's working.
Well, look at what they went through from 2013 when everything went off the rails. When the Bison last were in Terre Haute, that was the week that Shakir Bell quit the team.
Right.
Everything was going off. The Bison ended up winning that day. I think it was 56-10. But now here's Indiana State, a completely different program since then. Won a playoff game last year for losing to Chattanooga in the second round. And I wonder about atmosphere on Saturday, because I don't know if it's at Macomb level, but you remember how NDSU struggled at Western Illinois. Granted, Western's got a good football team as well, but I asked Chris Kleiman about generating their own energy, because it's just not going to come from the stands on Saturday.
Well, and lack of energy is one of the reasons we heard
after the game
for the lack of performance against South Dakota. Although on review, and here's where I'm a little confused, on review, we asked Coach Kleiman about it, and he said that looking at the film, the energy was better than what he thought when he's on the sideline. I'm not sure how that. When you're on the sideline, that's when you feel the energy,
that's
right?
That's what I thought. I'm not sure he can see it on tape.
I don't know if he can see it on tape, but maybe he can. I don't know that question, but NDSU's got a lot more to be worried about this week than the stands, what the facilities look like. I mean, there's a whole lot more to be concerned about, and it's mainly themselves. I mean, they got to, it's not a turnover issue. So what is it? I think it's a performance issue. It's it's the play issue. It's the preparation issue. I mean, if you can't be excited to play on a Saturday, any Saturday,
what are you doing?
Granted, everybody was sort of had that hangover.
I agree. It was
fans
you
included.
Mentioned it too. Yep. It was from the tailgating lot to in the stands on Saturday. That was the case.
There's a little apathy going on. It's the spoiled effect, the spoiled fan effect. That here, and it doesn't help when you go 14-0 right away.
Exactly.
And with ease.
Correct. Now I wonder, what is the biggest thing to you to see on Saturday? What do you want to see out of this team? Especially, I think a quick start is important. Granted, maybe it didn't matter this past week because they got up 14-0 against South Dakota.
Well, they had a quick start against South Dakota. I mean, was that important?
It didn't. I guess finishing is what needs to happen, because
I think you just got to come to the park ready to play 4 quarters, and they didn't do that on Saturday.
You look at the other games in the Valley this week. Northern Iowa plays at South Dakota State. Are the Panthers done? They're 0-3 in the Missouri Valley right now.
Awfully close. 4 losses is tough. 5, I think you're done. I think there's too many good teams in front of them right now. And some of the losses, you have to not only leapfrog teams, but now you have to leapfrog teams that have beaten you.
You look at, they have to win out to get to 7-4. And they would not have wins over Illinois State or NDSU as part of those 5
and you still have
wins.
them in your poll.
They are still in my poll because of the teams they've lost to, though. That's all I'll say. The headline game this week, I don't know if I'd ever thought this, is Western Illinois at Illinois State. That's for first place in the league. And the only reason I'll throw this in, if the Leathernecks win at Illinois State, NDSU gets a shot at Western Illinois. So if they all finish with 1 tie, then it comes down to a crazy tiebreaker, which we went through last year.
So you're saying NDSU now, you got to hope for Western to beat
Illinois State, and then NDSU would have to beat Western down the road.
I think if Illinois State wins that game, I think game over. Conference over. They get the auto bid eventually.
Youngstown State plays at SIU, and now the Penguins, 2 straight losses, both at home, now have to go out on the road. You're wondering what's going on with Bo Pelini's team.
We were gushing about their defense early in the year. Now what happened to that?
They got blown out by South Dakota State and a lot of points to Illinois State. So it's just the way the Valley works right now. And NDSU, after being so good for and it's not saying they're bad, but they're in the mix right now of what every other team has went through over the last 5 years.
Like I say, it's a market correction.
Yeah.
They're acting like a normal team.
That's why the next 5 weeks are going to be so much fun. Full week of coverage coming up for the Bison and the Birds. And, of course, we'll be in Terre Haute for Kolpack and Izzo live 9 to 11 on 970 WDAY. Pre-game show at 11 leading up to an early kickoff. It's a noon kickoff on Saturday for NDSU and Indiana State. For Jeff Kolpack, I'm Dom Izzo. That's the latest Bison Video Blog.